Hello, I'm Antonio Neves, and this is an Ad Age video report. Everyone in the marketing industry knows what greenwashing is, but tree washing? That's the latest buzzword in the war against advertising tactics that are less than environmentally honest. Speaking at this week's Sustainable Media Climate Symposium in New York, Don Carli criticized marketers of electronic billing services. He's the director of the Institute for Sustainable Communication, and he's very focused on the carbon footprint of the electronic media business, which he tells us is surprisingly close in size to the notorious carbon footprint of the paper-making business.
A group called Javelin Research conducted a study of consumers, and that study found that when consumers are told that switching to electronic billing, because it will save trees, there was a significant, a 60% increase in the likelihood that they would switch to electronic billing. So naturally, the electronic billing industry, which makes an enormous amount of money when consumers don't get a print bill, was more than willing to tell consumers that they should switch to electronic billing because they'll be doing their part for the environment and saving trees. And my challenge to the electronic billing interests is that just as if you told me you were going to save a child, I would expect to know who's the child, where's the child. If you tell me that I'm going to be saving a tree or that you're going to be planting a tree because I've taken an action as a consumer to switch to electronic billing and you can't show me the tree, I call that tree wash. It's false advertising. So you should be aware that deforestation is a problem, that it is occurring on a very significant scale. But the causes of deforestation are not what are commonly assumed by most consumers, that it is paper making and printing that's killing trees. In fact, it's hamburgers, condominium, tofu, and electricity that's killing trees. In addition to the management of deforestation as a challenge, the other challenge we have is, of course, managing the emission of greenhouse gases. Now, whether you print or whether you use electrons, energy is employed, and for every kilowatt hour of energy that is produced and used, a kilo of CO2 is emitted. Paper making does use enormous amounts of energy, 75 billion kilowatt hours alone in the United States in 2006. But data centers and computing centers that serve the pixels that we rely on Twitter and Ustream and Facebook and Hulu and YouTube, also consume prodigious amounts of electricity, the bulk of it being coal-fired. 61 billion kilowatt hours of electricity, in fact, during the same year. So there is no such thing today as a green pixel for most buyers of digital media. Most of your pixels are, I believe, guilty of what I call gray wash. That's saying your pixels are somehow green. If you don't know where the electrons came from, if the electrons were not generated using renewable energy, then in fact, those pixels have a toxic burden carried with them as well. So we have to rethink our industry. We have to rethink what forests are. We have to rethink the role of trees and forests in our lives. We have to rethink the competencies, the skill sets, the habits of mind that we develop in those who work in graphic communications, in advertising, in marketing, and media.
And that's it for this report. Thanks for being with us. I'm Antonio Neves at Advertising Age in New York.